So, who was the genius with two working brain cells who decided to greenlight this show? Really, who was he? Or she? So, we all know that Netflix, our good old streaming service, has a lot of issues. And I've been using Netflix for a couple of years now, and man, I have a lot of beef with Netflix. I mean, all in all, I think Netflix does provide some quality for the money that it's charging me, but man, like, there were at least three times when I was watching a show on Netflix and it just disappeared from my watching list. Like, three times when I'm watching a random show and it just absolutely disappears out of nowhere. Not a single warning that, hey, this show is going to disappear on this date. You probably want to finish watching this show. No, it just disappears without any warning. So, yeah, that was absolutely infuriating. And Netflix not having a lot of good content on it is also kind of a bit of a letdown, because most of the time when I have a movie to watch, I would used to like search on Netflix and see if the movie is available on Netflix. I stopped doing that a long time ago, because chances are if you want to watch a movie and you go search it on Netflix, it's probably not there. So that was a lot of my personal beef with Netflix. And Netflix has not decided to, and I wasn't really aware of it, but maybe I heard it, but then I forgot about it. But in 2022, I was reading this article from the Direct. I'm not sure how reputable this website is, but yeah, in 2020, Netflix announced that they were going to make a live action adaptation of the One Piece show. Again, who was the genius who decided to greenlight this show? Please, please, man, like more. I keep saying Marvel. Like, no, this is not a movie about Marvel. This is about Netflix. Come on, man, work it. Come on, Netflix. Like, you really need to get your act together. It feels like it's a really like dead brain kind of a decision, because I can like imagine like executives. Imagine it, executives sitting in a conference room and they're like, what is the single most popular anime or manga out there? And the answer was One Piece. Because it is a really popular show and it has sold the most manga worldwide. And they were like, okay, let's make that show into a live action and we can like have a multi-billion franchise. But you know what, like it feels like the people who greenlit this show did not even watch this show, because if you watch the first episode of this show, you would know that this thing is not suitable for a live action adaptation. Like, I am like at around like 800 episode ish on this anime, and yeah, I've seen quite a bit of this anime to easily tell you this is not a live action suitable kind of an anime. Like, I can tell you which animes could be like adapted into live action. Maybe Psychopaths, that's a good anime that you can adapt into live action, but no, not One Piece and not even Dragon Ball Z. I think that adapting Dragon Ball Z would be really hard into live action. And what other anime that you can adapt into live action really easily? I think maybe even Death Note. But you know what, Netflix already tried doing that and they failed at that. That is the one anime that I was recommending as like you could easily put it into live action, because there's nothing too over the top anime goofiness going on in there. I mean, there's some, but it's still overall a pretty serious anime and you could easily turn that into live action, and Netflix failed even at doing that. So I doubt that they are going to do anything right with this show. So yeah, we do not really have any substantial information about this live action adaptation. So there were these rumors about these test screenings that came out a couple of days ago, and here are the testimonials. One Piece tested horribly, the CGI looked bad, and the story didn't make any sense to non-fans, and they are rewriting the entire episodes. As for the tone of the show, it's not really working. The makeup look of some of the cast look off, and the show jumps between being over the top goofy to being serious, and it's jarring and inconsistent. Okay, so this thing I really want to talk about because that is one of the most enticing things about anime, or maybe even about One Piece, really, because One Piece has this level of extreme goofiness to extreme seriousness. Like, you could be watching this thing and you would be like, hey, that's a show that only toddlers could watch, and then suddenly the tone of the show, like, it really shifts, and now it's like a really hyper serious, hyper action kind of a show, and it has that sort of that spectrum, like it goes from being a really goofy show to a really serious action packed show. So yeah, I really believe this thing because it feels like it's true. So then we read later on, and this article by the direct says that the test screening rumors were, well, exactly that. They were rumors, they were a made up story, and the test screenings never happened. But I'm not going to dismiss the idea of test screenings, because again, they said that they were starting working on this show in 2020, so they probably have something on their hands right now, and it wouldn't be too far from reality that they did some kind of test screening. It's not too far from reality, and the kind of nature of that this show has, and the kind of reputation that Netflix has when it comes to adaptation. I wouldn't be surprised that these rumors are in fact true, but then again, I don't want to fuel the fire too much. I mean, probably these rumors could be false very well. I'm just saying that the possibility of these rumors being true is kind of high, and the comments that these test screenings that have come forward, they seem really legitimate, like they feel really real, like it feels like a genuine reaction from the people who would have watched the show, the CGI looking really jarring, and the story being really inconsistent. And you have to remember that One Piece currently has over 1,000 episodes. So how are you going to convert that into a watchable, binge watchable, maybe 10 episode season? You can't do that. You can't. There's absolutely no way you could do that, like, obviously the story will look jarring. You cannot skip over too much. You can't possibly put that much information into 10 episodes or something. I don't know how many episodes they're planning to make, but 10 episodes is usually what they do when it comes to adaptations, and I don't think that you can, like, do all of that. And if they do everything right and they make 10 episodes, then it would be like Luffy just started his journey, because that's what it would accurately be like, because that's where we will be at in the story, at maybe the 10-hour mark. I'm not sure, but that would probably be the case for this anime, because it's a really long anime, and I'm not sure what they're going to be doing with the first season, or what they are going to adapt into this adaptation. And yeah, let's look at some of the cast, and I'm not sure who these guys are, but you know what, one thing that I notice about these cast members, it's Usopp. You notice anything about this character, or sorry, this actor? You notice anything weird? Yeah, me too. This actor doesn't have an 8-inch nose, so he can't possibly play this character. And that's exactly the reason, like, these characters are supposed to be goofy as hell. How are you supposed to adapt these characters into live action? Like, I just cannot see that. Like, if Usopp doesn't have a long nose, then he's not Usopp. Like, I don't know what to tell you, man. And look at Frankie, like, let's look at Frankie. Like, look at this big guy in the background. Like, this is supposed to be Frankie, and he's like a half cyborg or whatever. How are you supposed to make that guy? And Chopper and Nami and Robin, like, these women are like way over the top sexy, and like they should not exist in real life. But you know what? It works because it's anime. It's animated. You can't do that in real world. Like, let's look at Usopp's nose. It's so big. You can't do that in real life. Let's look at Sanjay's curly eyebrows. Are they going to make this actor's eyebrows curly as well? I hope they do, because if they don't, then I'm going to be really angry, because that's like half of the identity of this character, the curly eyebrows. I'm not sure if they're going to do that, but they damn well do that. But they're probably not going to do that. But yeah, another really goofy and absolutely garbage decision from Netflix. They're going to take a big L with this show. They did the same thing with the Cowboy Bebop adaptation, and they canceled that show after like one season. Like, that was that horrible, and they are still going forward with this show, and this show is coming out at some point in 2022, and we're still sitting in April. So this show being released might not be too far from what we're expecting it. I mean, it can be delayed in the future, because we have not seen anything new. We haven't really heard anything official from Netflix. We haven't even seen any kind of a trailer, but they said that it's coming out in 2023. So maybe we'll be getting trailers or something really soon. But yeah, some news might come out if we don't see a trailer for this show sometime in 2023. Then yeah, this show is probably getting delayed to 2024, or maybe to infinity or something. But yeah, I was thinking that maybe if you want to adapt some kind of an anime show, you could adapt like Naruto. Like, I know a lot of people are going to get really mad that Naruto is a show that also cannot be adapted to live action. But I would beg to differ. I think the style of Naruto has like that level of realism, and even the story feels really realistic, and the setting of Naruto, I think, would look really beautiful in live action. So yeah, I think Naruto is something that could be a multi-billion franchise. Like, people aren't even looking at Naruto's, but yeah, I think Naruto could be adapted into live action in a really decent way. If someone does it right, it could definitely be a $1 billion franchise. So yeah, I can see that happening. But when it comes to One Piece, there is no way. Like, have you seen some of the characters from One Piece? They look goofy as hell, and some of the characters in One Piece feel like they're 8 to 9 feet tall, and that's what I love about those characters, because when they are that tall, they look intimidating as hell. Like Whitebeard, if they made Whitebeard even 6 feet tall, then that guy is not Whitebeard. I don't know what to tell you. And when they make Whitebeard in this show, they're probably not going to show him, because he shows up really far into the anime series. But if they at some point even show Whitebeard, he needs to be at least 8 to 9 feet tall, because if he's not that tall, then he's not Whitebeard. And there are other characters as well, like Doflamingo, like he's a really tall guy, and if they don't make Doflamingo really tall, then he's not Doflamingo. Like, these characters have that kind of, not personality trait, but an identity trait. Like, when you see the silhouette of Doflamingo, you know exactly who that character is. Like, you can immediately recognize him just by looking at him. And if they're not making those characters really tall, just like how they are presented in the anime, then I'm not sure if I would even call that a successful adaptation. But then again, this whole idea of making One Piece into a live action adaptation feels pretty bad. But yeah, if they're going there, then I'm going to have this ridiculous conversation of turning normal human characters into 8 to 9 or maybe even 10 feet tall behemoths. Like, we were having that conversation now. When this show releases this year, we're going to have a big time reviewing this show. It's going to be really amazing. Like, I'm going to have a great time reviewing this show, because it's going to be so much great content from my channel. But yeah, that's where I'm going to leave this video. And for now, as always, it's time for a goodbye.